explanation about cognitivism, especially in learning language. Then here are the table of contents that we will study for this day. For the first, I'm going to give you the explanation about the introduction of cognitivism. The second is 3 important cognitive theories. The third is stages of cognitive development. The fourth, the educational implication of cognitive theories. And the last is about strength and also the weakness of cognitive theories. Let's get started for the introduction of cognitivism. Then for the cognitive theories, we can know that cognitive theories was really famous at that time, especially in 1970s and also 1980s. Then it's because cognitive theories explain the mind as the interaction of mental representations and the processes that operate on them. As we know, there are 2 components of cognitivism: cognitive psychology, that focuses on mental processes, and also information processing, or sometimes we can say it's cognition as computation. Cognitive psychology is the study of mental processes. So for the example is like attention, perception, semantic and episodic memory, language development and use, concept and categorization, reasoning and decision making, problem solving, procedural and conceptual learning, and also the last consciousness and skill acquisition. Then the next part is about 3 important cognitive theories. Actually, there are 3 experts that discuss about these theories. The first expert is Jean Piaget. So he is a Swiss psychologist that was particularly concerned with the way thinking develops in children from birth till they become young adults. Then to understand the nature of this development, Piaget carefully observed behavior of his own 3 cats. He used to present problems to them, observe responses slightly after the situations, and again observe their responses. Piaget called this method of exploring development clinical interview. Then the Piaget's theory focused on development and learning theories. Development focus on the learner's capabilities, and the learning focuses on the realization of such capabilities, and the education within the theory is intrinsic. Then for the cognitive theory, the behavior reflects the emergence of various psychological structures, organized units, or patterns of thinking that influence on how children interpret the information. Different from Piaget, Jerome Bruner told us about the cognitive theory. According to this theory, the learning process will run well and creatively if the teacher gives the opportunity to the students to find a role. So it's like the concept, theories, or definitions through examples that illustrate the rules to be solved. Then this is the third expert. He is David Ausubel. Then for this expert, he told us about based on the opinion, it's known that the knowledge that students already have will largely determine whether or not a learning process is meaningful. The teacher's task is to provide convenience for students so that they can easily associate their new experience or knowledge with existing knowledge in their cognitive structure. For this part, I'm going to give the explanation about stages of cognitive development, but it's only based on Jean Piaget's theory. Before talking about the stages of cognitive development, actually Piaget's theory is the adaptation of instruction to the learner's developmental level. The content of instruction needs to be consistent with the developmental level of the learner. Then here are the processes of cognitive development. There are 5 processes. Start from the first one, it's about schema. Schema is actually the different sensory motor map that learner construct about their world on their knowledge development. So it means a child's schemas are constructed through the process of assimilation and also accommodation. Then the next one is adaptation. It's about the inborn tendency to adjust more attuned to conditions imposed by the environment. Learners adapt by continually organizing and basically organizing the information and experiences they get in their daily life. So it means they adapt something based on their daily life or their daily activity. The next one is about equilibrium. Is when the learners move towards more complex or effective way of organizing and dealing with the world. It's actually the cognitive structures that accommodate the familiar information instead of the knowledge. We say learners equilibrate. And the fourth, assimilation is the components of adaptation when the information arises that can fit into the learner's existing knowledge is added into learner's cognitive structures. And the last one is about accommodation. It's a little bit same, but actually it is the component of adaptation, and it is actually um, the information arises that contradicts or conflict with the learner's cognitive structures. After knowing the processes of cognitive development, Piaget identified four stages in cognitive development, start from the child was born till the child is already adult. So for the first one, it's about sensory motor stage, or we can say infancy. This stage begins at birth and lasts till the child is about 2 years old. So it means when the child was born until the child is getting 2 years old, it's called sensory motor stage. Here, because the children's thinking involves seeing, hearing, moving, touching, tasting, and others. This stage marks a transitional stage for a person from a biological to the physiological being. In the first few weeks of life, the baby's behavior consists simply of reflex responses. So for the examples like sucking, stepping, or grasping. Later, the reflex disappears and the baby chooses what and when to grasp. The second one, it starts when the child is getting 2 until 7 years old. So we can say it's pre-operational stage. In this stage, the children have not yet mastered the ability to perform mental operations. Then we can know because the following are the accomplishments of pre-operational stages: semantic function, egocentrism, decentering, animism, seriation, and also conservation. Yeah, the next step starts when the child is 7 years old till 11 years old. We can call it as concrete operational stage, because in the stage a child is concerned with the integration of stability of his cognitive systems. He learns to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. He is in a position to classify concrete objects. In short, children develop the abilities of rational thinking, but their thinking is tied to concrete objects. Then the last stage is formal operational stage, and it's for 11 years old and above 11 years old. This type is characterized by emerge of logical thinking and reasoning. Other important cognitive attainments during this period are the ability to think about the hypothetical possibilities and to solve problems through logical deductions and in the systematic manners. Let's talk about the fourth part. It's about the educational implication of cognitive theories. Cognitive theory can be applied in the classroom. So when we teach our students, we can apply this as the method or as the theory or strategy to do the learning process. Cognitive development based on learners' active engagement with exploration of their physical and social world. Teaching and learning need to be active. Exploratory processes if the teacher optimizes things out to experiment and discover things, to question and discuss, and to reflect and solve problems themselves. Piaget's concept of development process of understanding working of child's mind can be helpful to those who are involved in teaching and other educational practice. The most important function of school is to provide good stimulus learning, discovery learning, project-based learning, and also cognitive strategies. Those are really helpful to teach in the classroom because the students can be active, can have some activities, and also they can think more about the project. The last part is about strengths and also weakness in cognitive theories. As we know, all of the theories will have the disadvantages and also advantages in applying them. But I guess it will be better can if we can combine some theories to be one and make sure that the theories can be helpful for teaching learning process in the classroom. Then for this, I want to give you the strength and also the weakness of cognitive theories. From the first is about strengths. Make students more creative and independent. Then helping students understand learning material easily, boost confidence, and many practical application. When we apply, for example, project-based learning, it can make the students creative because they can think what they want to do, and also they will be independent because because the teacher only facilitate and also observe their project. Then, but for the weakness, difficult to practice, especially in advanced levels. Theory is not comprehensive for all levels of education. It ignores other factors toward behavior that have been shown to affect behavior. So I can conclude that this theory can be hard for advanced level because as we know that advanced level will think more about something and um, they will not do some projects and maybe they will be easy if they do the project by themselves. So yeah, that's all from me. That's all for the material today. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me or